Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming today. I appreciate all of you guys taking time out of your day to join our webinar about Acumatica CRM. So first, I wanted to remind everybody of webinar rules. If you have a question, feel free to add it to the Q&A box. Right at the top of your screen. If you want to send a chat or anything, that also works. We'll try to answer the questions throughout the webinar. Second, we will be sending a recording of this webinar after the event to attendees. If you want to share it with your team, you are welcome to. So we'll send that over after the event. We're going to aim to get this done in around 30 minutes. We'll give you a little bit more of your time back. I think the initial time was 45, but we're gonna get it done in 30 minutes. Everybody likes a good 15 minutes back of their time. And before we get started, I wanted to introduce you all to your host for today's session, Tucker Haas. For those of you who don't know, I'm assuming everybody on the call already knows, but he is the head of our implementation services team here at Strategies Group. And he brings a deep experience of Acumatica and has been helping Acumatica customers for years improve their ERP experience and workflows. We're excited to have Tucker walk through some real world examples today of Acumatica CRM and talk through ways that you can elevate your Acumatica CRM experience with either customizations or integrations to other tools. So we're very excited. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to you, Tucker.
Sounds good. Thank you, Selena.
Of
Uh,
course.
I am I'm excited. This is a fun topic I always like talking
Hmm.
about. Spent a lot of time in commercial operations, and I've implemented all sorts of different CRMs, not just Acumatica CRM. And I think at the root, what a CRM is, it's about enabling the sales team and your sales operations to just be more functional, to be able to drive sales faster, better observability, and really kind of driving that front end, all the lead gen and through the opportunity process. And I just really enjoy digging into that and being able to help companies optimize that part of the business value stream. So maybe we just dig in and talk just a little bit about the core Acumatica. What is the CRM module? What does it look like? And I'll pull up and do some screen share. And then I'll go off script a little bit and we'll talk about what are ways that you can tweak Acumatica, what are things that we can take that is just good best practices around sales operations that we can put into Acumatica, and really just how can we energize and really up level what commercial operations teams can do to really get the most out of that CRM value. So that's the plan for today.
Perfect.
Let me go ahead and
Sounds
pull
good.
up. Sounds perfect. So let me just pull up. I've got a sales demo environment pulled up here. Um, Really the core of a lot of CRMs. Everything starts as a lead. Things come in, whether that's coming in from web forms, coming in from emails, um, a- cold calls, emails, leads that you meet at marketing events, and being able to pull that all into Acumatica. Towards the end of this, we'll talk more about different ways that you can integrate these in. We can automatically pull in leads from websites and setting it up on your website. So when a lead comes on your website and says they're interested, it automatically dumps in here. You can integrate it with Salesforce. You can integrate it with card readers so that when you're at a vendor show and you scan the badge, all that can just dump into leads. And because Acumatica has that open API, there are a ton of different ways that you can set up to pull in this data. Once you get in here, you then get into just Acumatica's out-of-the-box workflow. The terms on the CRM side, you're talking just in general marketing terms. You have marketing qualified leads, MQLs, that then go into sales qualified leads, SQLs. And each company is a little bit different in their terminology and how they do it. So Acumatica has an out-of-the-box workflow. All these buttons and workflows can be dialed in and changed. but you can come up and you can qualify leads and you can say, has it been qualified by marketing? So that we can push this along through the process. Sales can come in and accept it and say, okay, it's not just a marketing qualified lead that's been reviewed and it has value, but sales is now going to action on that, whether that's reaching out for a sales call, getting customer on the call, and it's a way to kind of push it through the funnel. Each of these steps are fully dialed in. Some companies, I find they just don't have a robust marketing process and they start right on opportunities. You don't have to use leads. But if you have a more robust marketing presence, it's a good way to keep your sales team focused on opportunities and keep your marketing team with the full list of different leads that they're working with. So after you've gone through and done that MQL, converted over to from a marketing qualified lead over to a sales qualified lead. Um, uh, and you've got all your information here, or as much as you want, enable capture, address, information. If you have had calls with, or if you're exchanging emails with the lead, all that history can live here on the activities, just like it does throughout the whole rest of the Acumatica environment. It also runs campaigns. So you can create a campaign and put all the leads. Say you go to a vendor show, you can have that vendor show here, like all the different leads into the vendor show and be able to track. Not to get too far ahead here, but a big part of running marketing is identifying where your marketing dollars and marketing budget's going and making sure you're making the best use of those marketing dollars. If you're assigning campaigns on the leads and able to track then that lead conversion and all the way through to the sales and the dollars and revenue generated, you can, in Acumatica, really easily join that data back to the campaign and figure out which campaigns generated the most dollars and even go to what's a cost, a marketing cost per revenue generated dollar, which becomes a really powerful metric that you can use to drive, is your marketing being effective? Let's see. And then eventually, once we convert this over, which we're going to do now, that'll show up as an opportunity. So let me convert this over to an opportunity. It's going to ask us what's the subject of our opportunity. And then it's going to want to generate this business account ID. I'm just going to put in a here. But we go. So it's as simple as that. You just put in what the subject of the opportunity is, and now we've converted this from a lead. Now this is an opportunity. I tend to distinguish once it's an opportunity, you think there's a real value in a sale, and you can assign a probability that that opportunity is going to turn into a dollar amount. On the opportunity then, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but you can get into on the details. You can put all your items on here and fill out all the items that you want to estimate. It can pull in price books. If you've got, give me just a sec. If the items already have are in your price book with base prices, it can pull in the price here. We've even done some customizations for some customers where they want to do markups off of their prices. That can all pull in automatically here. I'm going to skip over kind of the more out-of-the-box functionality of the CRM because I want to go into how, not just how you can use the out-of-the-box functionality of the CRM, but what can you do in Acumatica and in the platform that can really take that to the next level? Because I think that's some of the fun stuff that we can cover on this call. So let's talk just a little about UDFs. UDFs are really powerful in Acumatica. They're a way to be able to add additional fields onto any grid that allow you to capture information. I know that if you're in Acumatica and you're in an active environment, I'm sure your consultants have talked to you about adding UDFs. They're really simple. We can add to any field. One thing that's really cool in the modern UI that just got launched in this last version of Acumatica is now the UDFs, they don't have to hide on that back tab on the record. They can actually be put right square center on the main record page. Anywhere on the page you want to put it, you can drop a UDF. Daniel, I think, did a demo of that on our last call last week. We can pull out some of that, and maybe if you can grab a link for that, Selena, it might be just worth putting in the chat. But it's really cool that you can take these UDFs. I find UDFs really helpful on the sales side because the sales team is going to have specific things that they want to capture that are important to them. whether that's uh, specific, whether that's like a dimension that they're quoting out. They want to know what a home size is, what a square footage is, whatever that's unique to what that business is. The UDFs are just a really easy way to capture those. And by Acumatica letting us put those UDFs right on the front screen, it makes it just really easy for anyone to have access to them. Something else that's really nice that Acumatica has been doing in the modern UI is they give you the ability for everyone to have their own custom screen. One thing I think it's really helpful in sales enablement is for each individual salesperson to be able to to look and feel what it looks like and have it only show the relevant information for them. Each department functions, kind of has its own unique way that they function. And I find sales teams are most effective when you kind of really get it curtailed down to exactly what you want them to do and what you want them to fill out. Um, I'm kind of curious. Um, I watched Daniel do this. Let's go and just run a live demo on here. So I think we can convert this to modern UI. Let's see if it works. If it doesn't, you're not supposed to work in production anyway. It's probably more complicated than that. All right, I'll have Daniel get on here and demo for it on the next time. Um, let's see, we talked about UDFs. I want to talk about one that gets a little more into the customization, into the business event side. So you might want to work with a partner or work with strategies, work with us to help implement this one. But it's one that I find a lot of value in making effective sales teams that are just more driven and more data driven on a process side. The field that I like to use, I picked this up from a couple of sales veterans when I was doing commercial operations, and it's called the next step. It used to be just kind of one of those core, a lot of CRMs would just put a field called next step. And the idea is whenever you're on an opportunity, you put in that next step field, what is the thing that needs to be done next? So this could just be, I might put put the date here, 2/17, Tucker Haas, and then I would say follow up with customer call on 2/20. Nothing complicated, just nice and simple. But if you're able to capture kind of what that next step is, the date and who's owning and responsible for it, you then set yourself up that you can do an opportunity review process through with the sales team where you kind of sit your sales team down once a week, you look through all the next steps, and you make sure that everything is driving towards progress. What's cool in Acumatica that I've started doing is I have a business event that every time you update a next step, and you can just do this as a UDF, you can capture this on the as an activity. And so every time a new next step comes in, it'll create a task as a note. So I'll just put one in here just so you can see what it looks like. And let's see, you just drop this in as a note. There we go. And it shows up on this activity screen. And what happens over time is every week that you're touching this, you see how the opportunities are progressing and you see a historical track of what it looks like. And this does a couple of things. Salespeople don't always look at all their opportunities. They're always not driving. And by putting this in a spot that's really visible, it helps you really keep ownership and management of that sales team. And it helps to drive on sales. It also helps after it converts over out of an opportunity and into a project. If you ever want to know like what happened on the opportunity cycle, you now have a really detailed, here's all the different action items that happened. This is how long it took. It's just a really good touch point to have that weekly update for how the opportunity was progressing through. And then as a last one that kind of sets us up for success, where I see Acumatica driving and the space in general driving, all of this data, if it's organized and structured well, can feed into AI models that can help become predictive. So if it looks at the trends of what your updates are every week, you can feed that in and say, what's the probability that this is going to close? And it can start looking at those weekly updates and assigning probabilities to close and give you just better forecasting abilities on your opportunities, as well as identifying opportunities that need to be escalated or maybe getting stuck. I think just really good process and curation around data is if you set it up well and you follow it well, it really becomes an enabling piece for sales. And that's of the sales teams that I've seen most effective, they have some type of weekly process and ability to track what next steps are to keep everything moving. All right. We've been moving through. Let's talk a little bit about as you get towards the end of an opportunity, what that looks like. So on on an opportunity, when you get to the proposal stage, there's a couple of different things that you might want to do. You might want to send out a quote, and Acumatica has a great just out of the box quote template. It pulls in all the line items, pulls in the pricing, and is able to get it right out to the customer. So that's a very common process. But in the construction side, a lot of times a quote's not sufficient and it becomes a proposal, and the proposal documents are 15, 20, 30 pages long, very detailed and very important scoped out, but lengthy, and it's not always a good fit for the out of the box kind of Acumatica report designer. We've been working lately. Heuristics has what's it called, Selena? Is it PowerDocs?
Power Doc and Sign Now.
Perfect.
They have two
So
different integrations.
thank you, Selena. So we've
Of
been
course.
working with this heuristics bundle and put that on a couple of our customer sites. And what that does is it can pull any of the fields that are in Acumatica, and it can it basically the Power Doc, you just load a Word document template. You can take your 20-page proposal document where everything, all the terms are laid out, it's formatted the way you want it to see, and then you just say, grab these fields on the estimate and the total and drop them in here. Put the customer name here, put the address here, and it'll automatically fill in on your proposal document. So we found that be helpful, and then they have another plugin, which is their is it eSign? What was the second one, Selena?
Sign Now.
Thank you. So then they have a sign now, and they kind of work together such that you can load the Word document and then have that sent out for the signature piece. Let's see.
And I
Mm,
can put details about both of those in the recap.
thank you.
Of course.
Oh, I think those are the big things that we wanted to cover just in general for how we see companies just really use um, the CRM module well. I think a big piece of it we hit on early in this was using those activities. I mentioned using the activities for the next steps, using them for emails and sending your emails out of here. Uh, One thing I have found just for my own service team is that the more we use Acumatica as a single source of truth for sending out emails, for tracking actions and next steps, the more effective we have been, more responsive we are, the more we know what the issues are and how to escalate and make sure stuff's not slipping through the cracks. I think that's just been just over time, the longer I've done this, the more I've tried to pull everything into one system just to be effective. That's that's the big stuff I wanted to cover and talk through. Any questions show up in the chat? Happy to talk about any more of the CRM module, anything anyone's interested in.
Nothing yet. Um, so just got one from Nick. Are the quoting slash proposal tools part of the CRM module, or are they a separate tool?
So the quoting is out of the box. It just uses Report Designer. Here we can see. So we looked at leads going to opportunities. quotes sit on top of an opportunity, and you can have multiple quotes for one opportunity. So let's go and create a quote. It's actually a good question because we didn't spend much time. There's sales quotes. Sales quotes convert into a sales order, and project quotes convert into a project. Because we live in construction, we tend to do the majority of things coming into project quotes. So let me go and create a project quote here. And then I forgot to mention this one too. With user-defined fields, if you have those set up, it'll actually pull in user-defined fields. So if you have fields and information you've captured on the opportunity, it'll pull that same data into the project quote. When you convert that to a project, it'll push that data into the project quote. Oh no, demo environment. Sorry about that. All right, I didn't practice this on quotes. Let's just go over and see if we've got any project quotes in here.
The beauty of doing it live.
So it's always fun. There we go. So we got a project quote in here. So off the project quote, we can just print this. So let's print it and take a look. We have a couple of items on here. Now this is going to use, I mentioned, just the out-of-the-box report designer template. We're in sales demo, so this is just their standard stock project quote template. There we go. Normally brand it with your company branding, pulls in the items, pulls in all the information. Really great for just a sales quote. Where I tend to see this not as effective, as I mentioned on the proposal side, for the proposals and that Word document integration where you bring in a Word document and then have it pull fields into the Word document to send out the proposal. That's a separate package, and that's what's offered by Heuristic, and we can help implement if that's interested.
Awesome. I have another question. How do you send emails from Acumatica? Like if you wanted to email contacts either in a group or directly. So like bulk email versus direct email.
Yep. Let's do direct email first. So there's a lot of different ways. It's a little nuanced and you have to make sure you pick the right one for how it's set up. So I'm going to show the simplest one first, which I tend to I always think crawl, walk, run, fly as you kind of work through it. So the simplest one is you can open up any PDF. It'll have a send button on there. When you click the send button, assuming, there we go, we got some configuration. It's going to attach the file here. Whatever the quote report has in the definition of the report is going to define what the subject is, who the to is, and kind of all this information. And then if you wanted to, you can have some additional templates that you can pull in. See if there's a good order. Quote. See if there's a good quote template in here. I don't see a good, maybe. I'll see if this is. Okay, so you can have a quote template that you can drop in here, and you can either pull them in, or you can have different flavors of language that you want in here. Something else you can do on the report, I'll just mention here, is, and in this report template, oh, I think I have to do it in the actual builder. Yeah, you can actually pull in fields from the report into here, but that's got to be done actually on the report, so we won't go into that right now. So this would be if you want to send just a single email off from the report designer, off from the PDF report that you printed. Separately, if I go off of if you have if this has been working and you dial in all of the correct to information and on the report, and it's all, I always test this one a lot because there isn't a way to stop it once you run it. But from the project quote, you can just come in here and I just start it so it pulled it up on top, but you can just click send. And as long as you have everything drilled in, it'll automatically just send that quote right out for you. So that's the way how to do one-offs. You can send any report off of any screen. Sometimes a low configuration is necessary to make that possible, but For the most part, we can get a report off any screen and get it sent out. Um, the one you're asking for is on the bulk sending. So let's go back to let's go on to let's see, I think opportunities has it, but I know the leads do too. Mm, it's the lists. So let me go, it's been a minute since I did lead lists. Um, Casting lists, marketing lists. There we go. So you can come into marketing lists and then you can add all the contacts that you want to be that you want to go out as a group, and then you can put them in a campaign. And I'll have to go look at it's been a minute since I set it up, but from the campaign, then you can set it up to email all of these people. So that's the marketing side. But I've used all different kind of drip campaigns. I'm not sure I think it can be used for drip campaigns. But if you're going into that kind of level of marketing, we'd have to dial in a little bit more.
I think that's all the questions we have so far. If anybody has any more questions, feel free to put them in the chat, but um I think we're all set. Going once, going twice. Yeah, I think we're covered. Thank you so much, Tucker, for the presentation and going over some of these questions. Looks like people are really appreciating it. Got a few thanks in the chat. So um, if anybody wants a recording of this call, you'll receive it probably sometime tomorrow after this recording processes. I will also send up some follow-up information about the integrations that Tucker described, the Power Doc and the Power Sign solution. And thank you. Looking forward to the next one. I think we'll have another one next month. So hope you all can join. Awesome.
All right. Thank
Thanks,
you all.
Tucker. Yep. Bye.